If I'm being completely honest, I did not wake up on the right side of the bed this morning. The reason for that? Don't ask me. I mean, yesterday I woke up fine and nothing had changed since then. Maybe it was that I was anxious about talking in front of a bunch of random people today. No offense. Either way, I feel much better now, and actually, I don't know why that is either. Like I said, I haven't changed anything in my routine. Let's see, what did I do in between when I got up and now? Well, I got all my stuff ready, got in the car, and went to my school where the bus to come here was. Then I put on my favorite band, Cigarettes After Sex, and listened to them all the way over here. Maybe it was that. Now that I think about it, listening to them always relaxes me. This makes me wonder how the music that I listen to can really affect me. What if it can affect me on a neurological level? Well, according to an article by Neuroscience News, music can affect us both psychologically and physically. This lets me know that not only can music affect my moods, but the moods and physical bodies of other daily listeners, which according to TSC Entertainment is 90% of the world's population. So, put your sleeping mask and your headphones back on, and let's fall back asleep listening to the history and evolution of music, wake up on the right side of the bed with what we currently know and are doing with it, and go on the rest of our day listening to what the future has in store for music and us. An article from Method Behind the Music tells us that the earliest forms of music were created by percussion-like instruments. And when I say instruments, I mean resources that were available, like rocks and sticks. Now these tunes were primarily used for religious purposes, such as ceremonies and rituals, but often they would also be used to represent and even honor different plants and animals. As music kept evolving, more instruments were made all around the world. Instruments like the piano, clarinet, flute, and saxophone were made, along with many others. And with that came other genres of music. Now some of these types of music still had something to do with culture and religious backgrounds, as said in an article from Frontiers in Sociology, but others were born away from that. Then began the classical eras of music. Many composers made very famous pieces that would be performed by the bands of the instruments that had been made. This was really the beginning of music in a more performance type setting, and people started to use music as their careers. Now fast forward to the 1920s, and pop culture was born. Pop culture, or popular culture, is the common images, ideas, traditions, and knowledge shared by large groups of people in the current times. It was, and still is, heavily influenced by music, just as music has been influenced by it. It brought along many other types of genres of music, and an extensive amount of artists who all had their own unique styles. Soon enough, people became fans of these artists and started inputting their opinions on music even more, which made it to start intensively changing. What people didn't realize though, is that music could also change them. Recently, researchers have discovered a lot of things that music can do for us. We now know of many ways that we can use music to our advantage in our day-to-day lives. On the psychological side, music can cause huge amounts of relaxation. So much so that researchers even believe that music can help people lose weight by listening to music while eating. And more on the physical side, music can help reduce stress, blood pressure, and pain, as well as improve sleep quality, mental awareness, and even memory for some people. For others with different lifestyles, effects can differ. For someone with more athletic habits, music can higher the levels of dopamine distributed, which can cause more motivation to be produced. Fast-paced music can even stimulate an athlete's adrenaline through the epinephrine glands in the brain. For students, music can help with memory and focus by reaching structures in the temporal lobe. In fact, an article by Pinecrest Academy tells us that a 5-year study done in Texas found that students who have studied music scored an average of 158.4 points higher on the SAT than non-music students. Now, in terms of those individuals who work day-to-day jobs, music can help reduce huge amounts of stress that are put on them every day. Dopamine, which is what music releases through pleasure centers in the brain, can cause a feeling of relaxation and happiness. Some employees have even stated that they would definitely rather listen to music than not while working because it gives them something else to focus on rather than just stress about one thing that they don't even want to be doing. So evidently, music does a lot for people. But personally, music has really shaped the person I am today. I'm in band, and when I say I'm in band, I mean my Spotify playlist is made up of Mozart and Tchaikovsky. TMI? Anyways, I'm in band, and there's nothing better for me than playing in a concert with all of my friends while my family is in the audience watching. It takes me out of all the stressful events of school and just life in general. Life being a freshman is not as easy as it seems. Going to a new school is already a lot of pressure, and the amount of work put on us was just unexpected. But thankfully, music has gotten me through all of that. Not only does making music make me feel like I have a need to keep trying to improve myself, but listening to it introduces me to what feels like an entirely different language. Let's talk about language for a second. Language is a principal method of human communication. There are thousands that we know of. But what if I told you that music could possibly become one? Well, sort of. According to an article from Sage Audio, researchers believe that music could possibly become a form of communication in the times to come. They came to this conclusion based on the idea that as social media evolves, so too do the means of distribution. Let me elaborate. Before social media was as large and extensive as it is now, music was far from easy to distribute. Artists would have to get signed to a record deal, which is already a challenge in itself, because of the overwhelming expenses of manufacturing and shipping a vinyl record across the country. And if an artist wanted to reach an international audience, the costs would be even higher. Today, a song or an album can be instantly distributed worldwide for only a small fraction of the cost it was before. Not to mention the free distribution methods that come with services like YouTube or SoundCloud. All of these factors have led more and more people to distribute the music that they make, even if no one is asking for it. But it is important to note how significantly the evolution of technology has helped through all of this. Obviously, if the technology we have today, such as phones, tablets, or computers, hadn't been invented or weren't as injected into the lives of billions of people as much as it has been, none of this would be possible. So as our communication becomes more dependent on technology, people will start to use music as a means not to create a career, but as a social endeavor, or as I said before, a form of communication. But more on the brain-connected side of things, an article from Focus and Future tells us that not only are engineers working on letting people feel like they're in live concerts and videos through a virtual reality platform known as Vertify, but also to create wearable technology that can read the moods, body movements, and overall state of mind of the listeners. They believe that as the market for music widens, they have to evolve the tools that we use to listen to it. This would mean that instead of us having to figure out what we feel like or are in the mood for, the technology would be able to do all of that for us. Now let's wrap things up here. Today, we fell asleep with our headphones on, listening to the very beginning of music and how it has evolved into what it is today. Then we woke up on the right side of the bed with what we have done with music and how it has affected the human brain. Then we listened to what the possibilities are with music and how our lives could possibly become even more intertwined with it. Learning about the importance of music and its effects helps us to not only understand why and how it affects us, but also to further our knowledge and comprehension of how it affects people worldwide. So if you ever wake up on the wrong side of the bed again, put those headphones on and jam out. Thank you.